What in the 20s is going
In the
on?
20s,
Think about
yeah.
the
The
20s.
20s,
What
baby.
Plenty.
Plenty.
What in the 20s is
I
going
am here for my
on?
20s, baby.
This is the 20s.
Welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Zama Mkize, and this is What's in the 20s, a podcast where you listen to me grow through its baby on this episode. Sorry, I'm laughing because I'm thinking about the title of this episode. But anyways, on this episode, we're going to be speaking about fear of being included. Um, it's honestly such a recent thing that's been going on with me, which is it's so weird. It's so weird, but like walk with me. I'm gonna explain it. All right. I think uh, growing up, and I think this happens to all of us, right? We have this desire to be included in everything, right? Everything that's going on, people, spaces, friendship groups. I grew up with a lot of friends. I was that friend that had just a part of every group, if that makes sense, type of situation. Like I loved people, I loved everyone. Like I don't know how else to explain it, but like I found like a way to connect, and there's just things about different people that are so interesting, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I wanted to be a part of that. Whenever we had extracurricular activities and stuff like that, I'd sign myself up, that thing of just like, let's just engage, let's like get onto things, let's do things, let's be a part of trending stuff, trending things, which is also just so insane. But like, yeah, whether it's what people are talking about, the topics, the gossip, the this and that, just be in the know-how. I think like social media does that a lot to us. And like I think because like it feels like the world is getting so much smaller because we all have the same For You page for some reason. Like our interests are, they feeling very similar, I think that's also why, for example, like when these festivals will drop like a headliner like, oh, this person is coming, everybody's there in the comments, oh my gosh, we're gonna be there, and it's like the same people you're seeing under the same like different people's I guess posts and comments, like, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna go to this event, all of us together, we're gonna, and it's like that feeling of like being a part of a community where like we're all doing the same thing, we're all keeping up with the same thing. And I think I think it's weird at some point. It gets weird. Well, at least for me, it gets weird because you eventually end up having the same identity. You end up having the same interests. You end up having the same, I don't know, everything's just, it's feeling the same. Our people complain about this a lot, that everybody's Instagram pages are starting to look the same. When you go out, people are dressing the same. When it's like the feeling of individualism. It's like it's kind of, am I saying about individualism? But anyways, yeah, it feels like it's slipping away from us, this idea that we should be creative, this idea that we should have our own kind of unique thoughts and perspectives and all of that. It almost feels like it's getting lost on us, because what's the point? It feels like, what's the reward of being different and all the rest, when we're seeing that what majority of the people are doing is working? It works for them. It work, in terms of validation, in terms of getting approval, in terms of being the person they desire to have around, And I was that person. I wanted to be invited to everything, like I wanted, I think I would take offense if I did not get an invite. If I did not, I'd be like, what do you mean I can't go? What do you mean I don't have access? Right? I think people feel like that all the time. We make it personal all the time. We feel like there's something wrong with us or something if we aren't given like a special pass. I think that's why people who I I don't even know how to phrase this, but I think that's why people who don't have to buy tickets feel so special, because they just know people will send them tickets or something like that, and they love this feeling of like being sent tickets. People will go to events, to like concerts, they don't even know who the artist is, they don't even care that much, they might not even know the songs, but just that feeling of I'm important, or I've been invited, or I'm wanted in that space, right? It's like crack. It's like, it's so exciting, I want to be there. You don't even know what it's really about. You have no interest. It's kind of like, I could go, I could not go, it wouldn't phase me, but it's like I need to go, right? The perception of being at certain spaces feels a lot more important in our current society than actually enjoying our time there, right? I think it's so weird. It's like things have things have changed so much in a sense. It's like as long as you see that I'm at this place, as long as you see that I was able to afford being here, as long as you see that I'm, the person that they want in these spaces and stuff, I feel better about myself than whether or not I even enjoy being in these places and whether or not I even want to be in these places. You know, I think because we're working in a society that is more focused on perception rather than reality, um, a lot of our identity gets lost in things, right? And I think that's why we have FOMO a lot. You know, why we constantly experience FOMO for things. It's because we feel like we're the loser or we're losing out when we don't experience certain stuff that it seems like the majority does. It feels like we're going to be, think about back in primary or something when everybody attended a birthday party. Because remember, back in primary, they invited the whole class, right? Or yeah, everybody's invited, like everybody. So say you couldn't go because were sick or you had another engagement on Monday morning. That's all everybody's talking about is, that birthday, the so and so's birthday party. And so you feel left out. You feel like you weren't included or whatever it is. It really sucks, like, because everybody wins and you were the only one that didn't. But it wasn't because you weren't invited or stuff. It's just like because of circumstances, right? But now, the older you get, the more you realize the world is bigger and we all have different interests and stuff like that. In the sense of like, just because you didn't attend this one event doesn't mean everybody in your life wins. Like there's some people who care and there's some people who don't. There's some people who really don't see it as like a big thing, which is something that I found so shocking to me. Like I thought everybody cared about the things I cared about. Like I'll be like, oh my gosh, this person's coming, let's go see this. And like, there'd be some of my friends who'd be like, I'm not really into that. And I always like respected people who could actually just like vocalize, like, actually, I'm sure they're cool and stuff, but it's not like, that big of a deal. And I used to think that was so insane, but like, oh, look at you trying to be cool, like trying to stand out. But it's just I think it's just recognizing that you don't have to be involved, because yeah, you don't have to be involved in everything, if it doesn't necessarily connect with you. And I felt like I needed to be involved in everything so that I could relate to everyone, so that I could be in on all the jokes, in on all the conversations, in on all the things that were going on. Sometimes people just want invitations even though they're not gonna go. They just want to know that they were on your mind enough so that you would invite them. I mean, it's that insane. We know those people who decline every invite, who just never show up or whatever it is. But I promise you, they'll be offended if you don't invite them. Like, they'll be thinking about that, like, oh, so I didn't make the list or whatever it is. It's like people just want that feeling of what being wanted, of approval, that stamp of you can hang with us and all of that. It's a nice feeling, right? It feels like affirming that your existence adds value to a space and all the rest. But I think that when you get so consumed in all of that, you don't even know who you are. You don't even know what you want really as a person. And I think it started building up, or at least I feel like as the older I get, the more certain spaces and stuff stopped exciting me, even though as much as like I felt like I need to, because I'm seeing everyone around me like being into certain things and wanting certain things. It's like I started learning how to listen to myself a little bit more, which is also such an uncomfortable place to be, because it's like you're going against what everybody else, is talking about or thinking. Like, there'd be times where I have nothing to add to the conversation, even because I realize I don't know if I care that much, like. And I think sometimes when we have FOMO, we get so caught up in that anxiety. I remember by the end of matric, I deleted Instagram, right? So I basically had no social media type of situation. Like, yeah, well, I had WhatsApp, that was the only way you could really kind of talk to me, but I didn't have like TikTok, Instagram, X, whatever. Like I'm just, and that was basically my whole varsity year experience. Okay, until like my final year, that's when I got it. But like it was a really great time. I felt like I wasn't really consumed by everyone's life, what everyone was doing. I went on for years just like being so caught up in my own kind of like life and my own world, you know? And I think about people in my life. Like I have this friend who doesn't have social media at all, and I'm very close to this friend of mine. And every time I'll be speaking about something like, this and this happened or this, and they're just always like, who? What? Where? And like that's slowly when I started realizing, like, yeah, why do I know so much about someone who knows nothing about me? Why am I so caught up and invested on news about people who don't care about me also, and I'll be trying to talk to, I mean, even my brother, he has no social media, and I spend a lot of time with my brother too, and it's like, oh, do you know this person, do you know this, I'll be talking about, and these two people in my life don't know what I'm talking about. And it just made me realize like I'm so caught up in things that have nothing to do with me. I let it consume so much of my time, my day, my habits, my this and that. I've created an identity around things I actually don't even think I really care about. Like I just feel like I should because like so many thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people do, So I feel like why don't I care? Why aren't I involved? Why aren't I making an effort to be in the know-how and stuff? But it's so weird, like when the people you spend most of your time with, aren't really as engaged and stuff like that, you also just start losing interest. You also just start thinking like, what am I gonna do with all this information? Like where am I gonna apply it to and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's when I started detaching from the whole wanting to be involved so much in things and stuff. I started being comfortable, I guess, being excluded. And it took a while. It's still sometimes, I mean, sometimes my friends that won't even, I guess, invite me to certain things because they know I'm not gonna come. Like, and in the beginning that hurt my feelings like a lot because why wouldn't they, like talk to me about it and all this, but I get it. It's like I'm not really trying to be involved in that either way, and it's like I'm learning to be comfortable with just stepping outside of certain things that aren't really bringing me joy, that aren't fulfilling me. And it doesn't mean my friends are any less of good friends or all the rest. Like we still have great connections and stuff like that. I think it just means that like certain things about us are just different, certain interests that we have are different, certain things that we want to do are different. And it's also difficult, especially if you guys would used to be the same, if that makes sense. I think that's what I'm finding, like the older you get in your 20s and stuff, the way you started your 20s isn't how you finish it, just because, in my early 20s, this was all I wanted to do, this was all I wanted to keep up with, all the spaces I wanted to be in and stuff like that. It's starting to change a lot for me. And I think it changes for everyone, but at different paces, at different levels, at different stages, and all of that kind of stuff. And of course, it affects your relationships with people because this is what we were used to doing. But you should give yourself that courtesy and allow yourself that space to grow and evolve as a person. Change your interests, change your ideas, and trust that you will find people in the new spaces that you take up, in the new interests that you take up, in the new hobbies that you take up. You will find your people, your tribe in that, and you will be perfectly fine. And I think that in the beginning, I cared so much until I didn't anymore. That's the thing. It's like you get so involved for so long until you reach a point where it actually doesn't affect you as much. As I'm saying, like in the beginning when my friends just like weren't inviting me to certain things anymore and stuff, like I felt so yo yo until I stopped caring, until I stopped feeling like it mattered. Your priorities shift also, like your values shift, and you realize that the things that you placed such an importance on stop having that much meaning to it anymore. consumerism, like this idea that you have to have that thing. You have to buy that thing as soon as it drops. You have to be there on that link refreshing, so you can get it. You have to get this product. You have like all of that starts to change the more you invest in your own identity, if that makes sense. I think we go for so long being so caught up in what it feels like everybody else is, and being included and having the things everybody else has, doing the things everybody else does, and as I said in the beginning, like it feels the safest to do that because there's very little reward for being different. There's very little reward for being someone that stands out. I mean, they try to teach us, yeah, it's important to be unique and all of that kind of stuff, but it's like until people mock you for not having those things, for not being in those spaces, for not having that access, and that's like where it gets really, I think, difficult, trying to always choose what serves you, on the inside, whereas you're seeing if you choose the other way, it serves you on the outside, but I think it's like you have to respond to who you are at your core rather than constantly seeking for affirmations, because it stops feeling as good as you thought it would. I think when we're chasing other people's dreams, when we're chasing other people's goals and all the rest, arriving at that destination stops feeling as fulfilling as you thought it would because it had nothing to do with you to begin with. And I think that yeah, I would feel this intense pressure to want to be a part of things, to want to be included in things, to want to um have people wanting me all the time, because I thought that the lack of that meant that I sucked, meant that like everybody hates me, meant that, like you think that if it's not you, it means people are conspiring against you or something like that, until you kind of realize that it's never that deep. Like things aren't that deep. This chase for like elitism and all the rest, it's honestly, it's going to make you crazy and suck you dry. I'm telling you, I'm giving you this advice for free. Honestly, it's not the most exciting thing in the world, and I think that when you learn to just kind of focus your attention on what really brings value to you and sustains you and fulfills you and maintains you and all of that kind of stuff, you're going to realize like how much you don't need to be so consumed by everything else. Not every product that they release is groundbreaking. I'm telling you, there's probably a product that was released 7 years ago that's still perfectly fine today, that's still even better than what they're releasing today, depending on what it is and stuff like that. Like, and I think sometimes we feel like it's so important to have the latest thing and this and that, and I'm so over it. It's exhausting. I feel like keeping up with everything is becoming so tiring. Social media is making it so exhausting to be a human being, thinking that we need to have this, we need to get this, and all the designer and all of that. Like, it's so, I want to be left out of the conversation. I want to be excluded from this narrative. Like, I do not, like, I think I'm so tired. I think we all are. It's like, it's so unrealistic. Some people feel the pressure so much that they don't mind settling for something that is, I guess, a dupe and all the rest, because it's like, at least I'm giving the impression, right, that I have this, that I can afford this, that I live this way, that I have access to this. And I think it's going to kill you. Like, if you if you think that is the most important thing, I think it's going to frustrate you so much in ways it doesn't need to. Life doesn't have to be this frustrating. It doesn't have to be this hard. I'm over it. I've I've long passed, especially when the closest people to me, I realized that when I've changed my mind about stuff, they've still valued me the same. And I love that. Like, I appreciate their opinions more than that of any other, if that makes sense. Like, I appreciate the people that are close to me and what they have to say about me, what they think about who I am, and my character and stuff. And I feel like I allowed a lot of my character to be defined by what I was seeing around me. And I now I just have a fear of being included. Like, don't include me if you think it's going to make my day, that I need to be a part of this. I feel like the moment I start feeling like I need this, it's taking away from who I really am. There's nothing that I need See, there's no invite in the world that will make me like that should take away from the core essence of who I'm building myself to be. And I think it allows you more time to develop the relationship you have with yourself. It allows you more time to develop in-depth relationships with the people around you, than being so consumed with the lives of people who have no idea who you are. Like I think that I've learned to be a lot happier. I mean, this year I've spoken to you guys so many times about how I've just been so intentional about slowing my life down, and it's been going really great. It's a lot more quieter. It's a lot more manageable. Even though it's very uncomfortable at so many different points. But I think that the relationship I've found with myself to have it's so much better. There's just so much I didn't know about like what I really think about things. Sometimes I realize my opinions on stuff were shaped on what I heard everybody else's opinion on something was, like I don't even know what I really like when I really sit and think, what is my opinion on the situation and stuff? Because I was so afraid of being criticized for that opinion. I had so much doubts for vocalizing what my thoughts actually were about something, that I disagree on something, that you know what I'm saying? And now I'm just at a place where I'm like, it's such a disservice to myself. Like I'm having such a great time getting to know myself. And I hope you do too. I hope that you can make that time for yourself to actually interrogate and allow yourself to change your mind on thoughts and opinions and ideas and trends and whatever, like you're allowed to keep enjoying that, like keep exploring that, rather than just having FOMO over things that honestly, if I've learned anything, there's another one coming around. There's another one coming around. You've missed out on nothing. It's really difficult to miss out on anything. I mean, even a concert, people record concerts. People record concerts from the beginning to the end and you just watch it on their stories. It almost feels like you were there, so don't feel so bad. I mean, I get it. When you're actually there, it's like a different experience entirely. Of course, I get it. Especially if you're that type of person that enjoys that experience. I'm that type of person and stuff. But I think that you'll learn that it's not the end of the world. You don't need to sell your apartment, your car and stuff to get something. Things are gonna be okay. You're gonna be okay. And that's really what I wanted to say today. Honestly speaking, is that like FOMO doesn't deserve that much of your time, energy, and all the rest. Like you're gonna survive. You're gonna live a full life, a full life outside of the situation. Not being included in things is not gonna be the end of you. You will find your tribe. You will find people who want to involve you, and in those spaces you want to be included in. And yeah, just trust that process. As always, I'm sending my love. Goodbye.
What in the 20s is going
In the
on?
20s
Think about
here.
the 20s.
What
baby.
plenty, plenty.
What in the 20s is
I
going
am
on?
here for my
20s, baby. This is the 20s.